The first public comment is from Monica Williams. Dear Council, Mayor, and community members, seller beware, the thrift scam or confidence game.
Jim, I want to turn it over to you. I see you've got a great question in the chat. Why don't you, if we can unmute you?
Thank you. I was just wondering, learning is an interesting way to go about things. And I'm wondering if we can learn things from our past successes. And I'm thinking around the 80s and the 90s and a bit after 2000 before the recession. Any thoughts going forward on how we bring those kind of opportunities back into being in terms of the tech sector, and more importantly, how that reflects on the work from home and learn from home process?
Yeah, Sophie, it's a great question. And so this network effect, this ecosystem, the last mile, so that you can connect into socially and economically disadvantaged individuals or very small firms, is going to be fundamental. It doesn't exist everywhere in the United States. So we're going to have to quickly, rapidly set up these kind of networks, using what we have. So I think that's the promise of this moment. It's going to catalyze some remarkable innovation. Capital is not the problem. It's how we organize to basically have it, achieve the biggest outcome.
Here. How do we best connect to the citizenry that for the most part, I think in this particular moment is the most important part, as you point out? How do we inform that baseline citizenry, which has never experienced anything like this, and yet is the focal point of this funding?
Well, I think we're going to have to go to where they are. I mean, I do think in the health sector, what's remarkable about the last year, whether it was around testing or whether it was around vaccinations or whether it was around general health disparities, hospitals, care providers got out of their fortresses and went into communities. I mean, Detroit, the Phoenix Project has had this, mobile sort of labs moving around the city. Go to where the people are, go to where the entrepreneurs are. And I think that's really the promise of this moment. And I do think it's going to require a different kind of mindset, of a lot of our service programs where folks sit back and wait for the demand. We're going to have to go find the demand.
Yep, the citizens are the experts now.
Yeah.
And we have to find a ways to raise their voice.
This structure here in the middle used to be a beautiful fountain that flowed, and we did maintenance to keep it going. As you see now, they have a weeping cherry here.
But we think it has a good chance to be downtown. And I think maybe we've always talked about it at the Phoenix Center and so forth and so on. That might be a timely transitional point to engage, and we've had some additional conversations regarding the library annex. Technology that's in the buildings in Ottawa Towers.
We're learning as we go along too how people behave, social public entities, how they behave in relationship to design thinking. And we did all this generative community engagement work that got it to the point where this transaction was going to be taking place, and you would think that they'd be interested in keeping that alive and using all of that data that we collected, which we can show you we digitized everything and show you multiple boards and archives of sticky notes of community and all kinds of stuff. But to them it was just a transaction, and it didn't even produce a program.
September 4th, 2021, and do we have it on the board yet? It's called Climate Disasters Will Strain Our Mental Health System. It's time to adapt.
That would probably be correct.
Is Thomas on?
Yeah, well, the community definitely needs to have input. We were at the city council meeting last night, and the council members were highly upset because they were saying that they demand that the community be involved in the decisions that are going to be made to allocate the funding. So we were glad to hear that. So they're planning on meeting with anybody who's interested in tabling that. So next week when they had a city council meeting, I think it would be a good idea for a bunch of us to be there, because the mayor literally is trying to make allocations of the money to what she wanted to, what she wants it to go to, and they said no.
Right.
It's a citizens who should come first. So it's a citizens first thing. That's number one. And number two, we should be there so that we can have some input.
Something that the people will confident in and actually will help be part of the solve the problem as we pull in the rest of the community and the rest of the environment. Right? So they'll believe this is it. And I think it's part of and then you're not clean, they're not clean.
I sent an email to City Council and the mayor expressing my serious concerns in opposition to the approach. I also was quoted in the Detroit Free Press as raising serious concerns, because I will always fight for the best interest of residents and taxpayers, and there are details in that proposal and that deal that are very troubling and put our city and its residents at risk.
And it sounds like the first step in that is to get an understanding from you of who the partners are that we need to bring back to the table. Arrange for that to happen. Walk through the particulars of this and how much money we have and this is the time in which we have to investigate this. To dream big, but to dream within our means, to not overpromise and underdeliver.
Sure.
And then, really execute. And the city is prepared, and everyone understands that all of the labor and all of the resources will be united in this project because it has been sitting here for so long. In my eyes, the fact that this thing is not executed or worked on this is unacceptable. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the key next steps to take away there. You guys have done an extreme amount of work on this, and I did not know that existed, and I'm so sorry that I didn't.
Not to worry.
Guidance that we should bring back to the table. Everyone's voice is heard with this project, and just some what I call funnels to get back to all of these creative pieces, and then set some expectations that's big. Does that sound okay?
I cannot get the spot out, but it's okay, it still works in the store.